These are the stories
My little girl, she's changing lives just by being herself.
of organizations and people making a difference.
When you first tell someone about adaptive wheelchair boxing, it doesn't sound real.
And empowering others
It saved my life. It saved my life.
across Canada
I scored my first goal in my first blind hockey game.
in our community.
Laurel, do you want to come under? Do you want to go under the parachute?
There's a misconception out there that inclusion is optional, that it's an option. We know that the prevalence of disability in young children is 5 to 10%, and we also know that preschoolers are 3 times more likely than high schoolers to be expelled from their early learning and care setting. Being included is a human right. The word inclusion to GRIT means that you have meaningful access to participate in everyday routines, wherever that child may be. I'm Amber Mack, I'm the CEO of GRIT. GRIT is an early childhood service provider, and we work with families and their young children from the time they're about 2.5 until they enter kindergarten. So we want children to be as independent as possible. Now, given that children come with very different strengths, we then have a team of professionals who can support the different aspects to make sure, how are they going to get around during their day? What do we need to consider in terms of their vision? How will they access their communication device? So we bring in this team of professionals to look at the everyday routines and basically look at what are the pieces they need to get their work of playing done.
Motorboat, motorboat, go so slow. Motorboat, motorboat, go so fast. Motorboat, motorboat, step on the gas. Woo! Woo! Woo!
In the past 4 decades, GRIT has developed diverse programs to support children with disabilities, their families, and early childhood educators through in-school assistance, at-home support, training initiatives, and nationwide outreach.
We have a number of multidisciplinary team members. So that would include a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, speech-language pathologist, social worker, and an educator or a teacher.
Teacher, teacher, what do you see? I see the children looking at me.
At GRIT, we use the pyramid model of intervention, and what that means is that children who have significant disabilities are at the top of the pyramid. But we know that the success of the top of the pyramid depends on those foundational pieces underneath. And so we go in to support all the levels, which might mean healthy environments, responsive relationships, targeted supports, which are specific for some children, and then, of course, individualized or specialized interventions.
So, Twyla, I wonder if something like an iPad or something with more of a grid would be helpful for this child that you're supporting. Do you think they have the finger dexterity for something like this, or are they?
I actually think they're ready for the iPad.
Okay, well then let's go with the iPad.
My name is Twyla Bruce, and I'm the program manager for our Early Childhood Services program. So what GRIT's Early Childhood Services is a really rich program that embodies kind of the routines of everyday children, and then we work with families to learn and grow and help the child grow in terms of their development and enrich and enhance their lives.
What do you think, Laurel? Flowers. Flowers, flowers, flowers. Now you have a little garden.
3-year-old Laurel participates in GRIT's Early Childhood Services program. Her father, Garrett, is enthused to describe what makes his daughter one of a kind.
Laurel is a very happy kid. She's easygoing, she likes to hang out with her siblings. She really enjoys most things kids like.
Oh, we found the towel for the veggies.
The things that make Laurel unique is one, she doesn't talk, and it's unlikely she will ever talk or have an expansive vocabulary. But she does communicate, and she communicates mainly through body language.
Good morning, Laurel. Nice to meet you. Mr. Potato Head here today. My name's Nicole Lawson, and I'm a developmental assistant for the GRIT program. A developmental assistant supports a child in their community setting. So whether that be the home, preschool, daycare, or kindergarten, as a developmental assistant, I would go to the child's community place and support their school journey within the classroom.
What's different about our developmental assistants is we provide additional professional learning for them that is specific to childhood disability. And we have over 60 developmental assistants.
What about you, Laurel? Are you still having a good time in here? Do you want to come out? Laurel needs support starting to play with her friends. Sometimes she needs support transitioning from activities. So sometimes Laurel likes to stop and what we call regulate. So she'll do things to bring her body back to a place where she can play and where she can have a good time. And that can look like rocking motions, that can look like playing with different sensory items such as Play-Doh or grains or stuffed animals. So I support Laurel with those transitions, and I also help facilitate inclusion within the classrooms. Look who's on my mat!
One of the myths that Grit continually faces is that a segregated, specialized classroom will be better for a child with a disability, and yet there is zero evidence to support that. Communities are stronger with diversity, and if we can't include them when they're 2 and 3 and 4, how will we include them when they're adults?
Oh, you got 2 now. Oh my goodness. Oh, so excited, so excited. My name is Leanne McLean, and I'm the preschool teacher at Ermineskin Community Preschool. The GRIT program is very, very important. To have that extra support and to have all the extra resources really benefits Laurel. And I believe that inclusion gives every child the right to be in a school setting, work setting, just to be included in society. And one more, last one. And down. Oh, that was fun, hey?
Our Community will return after the break. We now return to Our Community.
So yeah, tomorrow you're going to work on your project with Hayden and Blair from home. Okay? I wonder what you have in common with Hayden and Blair. Carson's my son, and he came into the world a little over 18 years ago, and on the day that he was born we found out that he had fluid on his brain, and that was a bit of a shock.
Now a young adult navigating multiple challenges, Carson's journey was initially daunting for his mom, Shyla Massey, as they grappled with the uncertainties that lay ahead.
I was terrified of that precious little boy. It's hard to imagine now because he was so tiny and so sweet, but I had never had the opportunity to be in a relationship with somebody with a disability before, and words like hydrocephalus and his respiratory issues, there were so many things about Carson that were scaring me at the start. I've come to know that Carson is a lot more than a boy with a disability. Yeah, you're tired. You've had a long day. Me too. It's my favorite time of day with you. The early days at Grit for both of us was like a soft place to land and start to grow. I would not have had any context or way of understanding inclusion if they hadn't started planting the seeds, helping me vision for his future before we even entered the school system.
When Carson started with us, his family was afraid to take him to community settings in case he might get a cold. And it was his developmental assistant who was persistent in encouraging his mother to take him out to a preschool setting to meet other kids his own age.
Hey Carson, how you doing?
Hey, what's up?
Not much, busy with schoolwork, I guess. It's nuts right now.
My name is Hannah Miller, and I'm one of Carson's oldest friends. I first met Carson when I was about 4 or 5 years old at a neighborhood preschool. It was just by luck that the day that Carson was dropped off, I ran up to his mom and told her that I was his best friend in the whole world.
Carson, the first one is right here.
I don't remember preschool, but it's where I met Hannah, so it's good that I went. My name is Carson Massey.
And I'm Jamie Jalasco. I'm Carson's inclusion facilitator, and I've been working with Carson for about 5 years now, supporting him at home, in the community, and at school.
Carson communicates through a device that's programmed with answers based on his past experiences.
My family and friends started learning ways to understand me and support my communication when I was in the GRIT program. They helped me to share my experiences and learn how to use my device by modeling its use while preparing my scripts. The scripts help others get to know me from the experiences I've had. My close friends and family don't need the device to understand me. When people know me well, they can read my body language, facial expressions, vocalization, and gestures. That takes time.
Carson, can I put you with Destiny's group?
What are they working on?
The disability they're working on is a little bit gentle. It's like asthma. It's still, something that people need to be aware of, right? Breathing.
Carson is now attending Concordia University of Edmonton and often works virtually.
I'm sure you could share maybe something about how that affects you
can't breathe.
Emotionally, for sure.
Raising a child with complex disabilities is really hard. There's no getting around that. It doesn't have to be isolating and lonely too, because most people don't think it's possible. And it's not only possible, but it's really important. It's really important because if Carson didn't have the natural supports that he has, he would be very vulnerable.
People, friends. How does that sound?
Without GRIT, you can look at the history of disability. And so families didn't have the option for their child to attend their community school. Parents were told that their child would need to attend a segregated site and sometimes even reside in a hospital school.
So the barriers for inclusion back in the early 80s were significant. Often we had to talk about the reason and the rationale and the value around inclusion and what it meant to the families. Families had to often have not only one, but maybe two advocates that went along with them to kind of help talk about what their vision was for their child and how the possibilities to make that happen could happen. So GRIT originated from our original founder, Emma Pavato, and she had a different vision for children with severe disabilities.
Motivated by her daughter Alexis, Emma Pavato had this to say when GRIT was first being developed in the early 80s.
Since few resources exist to help us at present, we believe that the best way to learn is by questioning what we are now doing. We hope that the questions and issues we raise here will be of some value to those professionals in the classroom who are trying their best to make effective integration happen.
And so there was 5 families that got together and they wanted something different for their children that involved something that would be replicated in terms of what a typical 3-year-old would be doing. And so not having to send their child on a bus to go to an early childhood program.
And so what GRIT does and what GRIT has done in the past is opened a new future up and new possibilities for families to look at where their child would have gone, where all their other children went to school, and have access to that.
We will continue to uphold working with children with the most complex needs, the most diverse learning that's needed. That's where I think GRIT really shines.
Every month at GRIT, we host a community learning workshop series, and we invite our community partners to also attend, and families.
Shyla now finds herself an integral participant in these meetings, contributing her own perspective.
It has been a really interesting evolution for myself because when I talk about Carson's GRIT graduation, I often say we graduated in 2011 because I feel like that program educated me more than anything. It gave me the strength to advocate for him.
Through her relentless advocacy, she now spearheads impactful in-person meetings, empowering and guiding others on their journey.
You can look at your son's disability community, you can look at your parent community, you can look at your community your family, all of those can factor into decision making. You do not have to take all of the decision making all on your own.
One thing that we really hope that all families, when they leave, is that they see that their child is capable of learning, they're really meaningfully included in their family, and then to be included in the community and then in their school experience. And so when families leave Grit, I would say the majority of them have a vision, a clear vision, which outlines what their hopes and their dreams are for their child.
The matching tattoos on Hannah and Carson's forearms show the power of friendship and inclusion.
So that heartbeat is yours. We have the mountains and no limits, and then that one's my heartbeat. Same on that one. Your heartbeat, mountain, no limits, mountain, and that one's my heartbeat. No limits for us means that like we can do anything.
I hope to travel a little and continue sharing my life story to help others and as a way to finance more fun and adventure with friends and family.
With Carson, our pretty much entire life story is we've had no limits. Anything that I want to do with Carson, we figured out a way how to do it.
Our community will return after the break. We now return to our community.
Hi, Stacey. How's the weather in New Brunswick?
Well, we're having a snowstorm right now. We're in the midst of it, so it's pretty, but it's messy out there.
So I wanted to check in just to see how things were going. I know we just finished all that virtual professional learning for your coaches.
My name is Marilyn Armstrong, and I'm the Connecting Canada project manager. Connecting Canada is a project where we're working with organizations across Canada to support their leadership and to support the inclusion of all children. So Connecting Canada is using the work that we're doing here in Alberta and implementing it across Canada. We're supporting educators to include all children and to promote their social emotional well-being. We have organizations in 9 provinces right now. We have 11 organizations in 9 provinces and territories.
Yeah, so we have about 10 coaches right now. Each coach is supporting 2 early learning facilities.
And that's a great plan. I love that they're just starting with 2 because we know that they have other work to do at the same time. So that allows them a chance to practice and to build their skills as they support these educators. Every province and territory should have a policy or a statement around including all children, but it's not being acted out. We hear from families in our GRIT program how hard it is for them to find early learning and childcare for their children. And we know that across Canada, there isn't any systems in place to support families that have a child with a disability to ensure that they get the childcare they need. And Canada is having a chance to say inclusion of all children is important. We value it and we're putting something into it. We're going to make sure that educators have the skills to do this work.
That's almost interesting goose telling a story.
And if they press the button, they can stop the story.
Oh yeah, that's a good option.
We really value families' voices. Families are really included as a part of the team, and we really listen to what their hopes and dreams are for their children, and we try to make that happen with them. We walk alongside families, and that's a really unique thing that I think GRIT does.
GRIT's crucial programs empower families like Laurel and Garrett's with at-home, out-of-school support from dedicated family coaches such as Janine Peters, extending its impact beyond the classroom.
Right now is snack time, and we're all just sitting around the table enjoying some fruit. And if we wait, Laurel does a really great job of bringing her hands together and making a more sign with her fingers.
More. Thank you, Laurel. Thank you for demonstrating that.
I think the biggest difference in the work that GRIT does is provide hope for an inclusive future. We've supported families in imagining a future that maybe they didn't have permission to imagine.
Row your boat gently down the stream. If you see a crocodile, don't forget to scream. Ah!
Not only is it going to help the child that has a disability grow, but it helps children that are walking alongside them grow. It also allows educators to grow and learn different ways of teaching and including all individuals.
The unwavering support Carson has received throughout his life has instilled in him confidence that no obstacle is insurmountable.
As far as accessibility is concerned at Concordia, it's okay. We don't let stairs get in the way. I can climb mountains with the right support.
Carson has had a great childhood thanks to being included, but he's also had an incredible impact on those around him. I'm so proud. And we wouldn't have been able to do this without the support of the GRIT program. Without a vision for inclusion, that wouldn't happen.
The word inclusion to GRIT means that you have access, meaningful access to participate in everyday routines. Inclusion works best when it's well supported.
Producers, Rebecca Campbell, Frederick Croach. Disability Consulting Producer, Daniel Ennett. Writers, Frederick Croach, Rebecca Campbell. Directors, Daniel Ennett, Frederick Croach. Director of Photography, David Puff. Location Sound, Nelson Klemochko. Editor, Patrick Kelly. Production Assistant, M. Jane Anderson. Narrator, Mark Phoenix. Integrated Described Video Consultant, Ron Rickford. Supervising Producer, Jennifer Johnson. Content Development Specialist, Jim Crisco. Director Programming, Lizanne Gagne. Director, Content Development and Production, Kara Nye. Vice President, Content Development and Operations, John Melville. President and CEO, David Arrington. Catapult Pictures, Inc. Copyright 2024, Accessible Media, Inc.
An AMI original production.